on the edge of Imperial space stands the ancient, abandoned mining planet, Lava 12. Rumours have been circulating that unsafe and hazardous children's toys have been manufactured in this sector and have been making their way into the Imperial retail departments. Expeditions have been sent forth, but so far none have returned. Therefore, it has fallen to the Ravenwing to investigate. They have dispatched some of their finest troops to check out the surface and find out exactly what's going on at this mysterious facility that's popped up on the otherwise completely deserted lava planet. How suspicious. The first thing that immediately tipped off the Ravenwing that something was going on was the presence of a grotesque and hideous defiler and untold numbers of chaos troops swarming over it. They still weren't completely sold on the idea that this was the evil, unsafe toy production facility until they spotted Lucius the Eternal standing next to an outlawed piece of technology known as the Demonic Toy Master 5000. Children's vehicle seats with spikes, asbestos-laced teddy bears are just the tip of this evil, corrupting iceberg, and the Ravenwing aim to put a stop to it. Garrisoned within this sector for the chaos, we have, of course, Lucius the Eternal and his retinue of Slaanesh creatures. First of all, we have a demon prince sitting down here. On this side, guarding the outer extremities, we have 20 chaos cultists with no particular upgrades, so I expect them to lay down their lives rather rapidly. Swinging over to this side, we have a chaos predator with twin-link las cannon and 2 heavy bolters. We have 5 chaos spawn. Behind them we have the Defiler, the most hideous of Chaos's creations. And atop this tower, we have 10 warp talons ready to swoop down and dish out swift, crabby Slaanesh vengeance. And atop this tower here, we have a squad of Havocs with missile launchers, who are trained in the arts of shooting down flyers, because that may just come in handy at some point today. So, to go over the forces of the Ravenwing, who will be swooping in on turn 1, but have already chosen where they're going to be swooping in from.
We have Fire Raptor with Avenger, Mega Bolter and Quad Heavy Bolters. It's also got some tasty Hell Strike missiles.
Armed to the teeth.
Armed to the teeth. Death from above. Then we have first squad of Ravenwing over here. Standard squad, speeder. There's a captain with a grav gun in there. That's squad A, as I like to call them.
And as we scan over to the other side of the battlefield, across the evil chaos forces, we have yet more Ravenwing from this side. So what do we have over here?
That's our squad of Black Knights, all packing twin-linked plasma talons. One dude has the Ravenwing Black Knight grenade launcher with a captain. And then we've got the second squad of Ravenwing, which I like to call Ravenwing Squad B. They've got a plasma gun in there, a captain with a grav gun, and the ever so trusty attack bike with a very accurate multi-melter that guarantees hitting every time. And then we've got a command squad over here with the standard bearer, Black Knight champion with his plasma talons, and the Apothecary, that's the chap, and Sammael.
So the objective of the game is quite simple. The forces of chaos are to defend this ancient, outlawed piece of technology guarded by Lucius the Eternal, and the Ravenwing are to head in there and take possession of it and destroy it. However, until the point that this machine no longer functions, the surrounding squads of chaos forces will benefit from random chaos boons as reward for defending this facility. So look out for that. We could be seeing cultists turning into demon princes at any moment. The Ravenwing are going to be given the first turn as they enter the table shortly, and we'll get back to you and see if they can gun down some of these chaos troops with their first wave. Well, the Ravenwing have entered the fray and unleashed their fury at the unsafe products being created in this terrible, terrible facility. Let's start with the Fire Raptor. So swooping in, it unleashed its considerable barrage into the Havocs, and there's now just a smouldering pile that used to be 4 of Chaos's most prized heavy weapon wielding warriors. They're all dead. And just for good measure, it killed another model as well. It took out a Warp Talon with one of its other weapons. It decided to spare the Predator any shooting this turn, thinking that perhaps the Havocs were the biggest threat to it. Down here, we will see that the Demon Prince has taken 2 wounds. He's only got 2 remaining. That was as a result of this squad here that came in with Sammael and the attack bike with its multi-melter. All that firepower got him down to 2 wounds. The squad next to them, just your regular Ravenwing squad here, came in, speeding in, and unleashed their twin-link bolt of fury at the cultists and killed 4 of them. So barely a dent in the cultists, and I don't think the Chaos Gods will be too concerned about that. Round the other side, the Black Knights have made a kind of sweeping manoeuvre, going as fast as they can round the flank, and they're going to hope to get in on the cultists pretty soon perhaps. I'm assuming they are the number 1 priority for the Dark Angels, with their incredible combat prowess. Over on this side, this Ravenwing squad and the Land Speeder came in and unloaded all over the Chaos Spawn and felled 2 of them. So that's a total of 6 wounds they did there, only 3 Chaos Spawn left, and that's quite a few casualties. So it's time for the Chaos to hit back now, and I think it's going to be quite furious, and potentially crabby as well. The forces of Chaos have struck back to defend their facility, the Demon Prince wading out into the open and attempting a charge, which as you can see failed. He was too far away. The Chaos Cultists had a bit more success as they rampaged across here towards the Black Knights. However, even though they did make it into combat, so many of them were wiped out before they even got to strike that they're kind of left hanging in the wind there. The remnants of the squad, the sorry remains. Oh dear, oh dear. Moving along, the Defiler this turn popped out of cover and took aim at this squad of bikes over here. Most of its weapons scattered horribly off course, although the twin-linked autocannon did actually kill 1 bike. So a bit of success there. Lucius the Eternal moved down here just to stick his really long tongue weapon out the window, mockingly. And the Warp Talons jumped down off the roof into a slightly safer position inside there, waiting to strike at anything that attempts to enter these grounds. Over here, the Predator took aim with all of its weapons at the Land Speeder, which as you can see is now no more. It has departed after, I think, the twin-link las cannons put a penetrating hit on it and destroyed a weapon, and then the heavy bolters finished off with a glancing hit. The Spawn successfully made it into combat with those bikes, took 2 wounds before they could strike, and then despite wounding the bikes quite a lot, they made all of their saves. So no bike casualties over there as yet, but we have got them locked down in combat at least. I almost forgot to mention this, but when the sacred evil toy creating machine let out its magical boon, all it did was put +1 armor save on a cultist. So it had absolutely 0 effect. I was hoping to get a Demon Prince out of it, but maybe next turn. Okay, I don't think this is going to be a very pretty turn now, because the Ravenwing have got a lot of firepower bearing down
For the Emperor!
On units that are kind of out in the open now. I don't fancy those cultists' chances of making it through the turn alive. Ravenwing turn 2, and the Fire Raptor swooped round this corner here to unload its fury at the Defiler, but failed miserably. I think only 1 weapon actually hit it and caused any potential damage, but it passed its lovely demonic save. This bike squad down here made a beeline for the cultists, but they rolled horrifically low on their charge, so they didn't actually make it. Wow. Down here, the attack bike with its groin-mounted multi-melter fired into the Warp Talons and killed 1 of them, but I think it actually got the kill with the bolter.
Yeah, multi-melter missed, as per normal.
Sammael and his chums down here took aim and gunned down the Demon Prince, who was standing in no man's land, so no cover save for him. So he went bye-bye, exploded into a billion pieces. Over here, in this combat, you'll notice that the bikes are a little bit thinner on the ground, because they failed to do any damage to the Spawn, who then rolled to get 6 attacks each. Using their claws, were able to swipe 3 of those bikes down, completely torn them in half. So it's not looking good over there for the Ravenwing. Much healthier over here, although all that firepower into the Defiler did precisely 0. so it's still at full strength and could go wading into those Black Knights at any time to lay some serious waste. Chaos turn 2, and the Predator has moved out of its little peaceful position there and fired its weaponry, well, its las cannon, because it moved, so that's all it could fire, over in this direction, but didn't hit anybody, unfortunately. And as we stay on this side of the table, on the Predator's side, you'll notice that those bikes have been thinned even more. That's because, even though the Spawn did actually lose another member of their little clan there, they got 6 attacks each again, due to magnificent rolling, and they managed to kill off all but one of those bikes. So there's just one there fighting against 2 giant crabs, one of which has been wounded. The Defiler, as it waded into the Black Knights, took 2 hull points as a result of the Overwatch fire, and it lost a weapon in the process as well. It lost its battle cannon, but it's not too concerned now that it's in combat. They couldn't do anything in there, and the Defiler killed one of them with its mighty power fist. The cultists actually killed one of these bikes with their pistols, so that's very embarrassing for the bikes. And then when they assaulted the bikes, they didn't do quite as well. They didn't kill any, the bikes killed a couple of them, and then they decided they'd had enough and just ran off and died. And Mr. Lucius the Eternal, who was hoping to help them in that combat, rolled so pitifully low on his charge because he had flamed half the bikes to death, or at least doomed them to death with his template weapon, that he was too far away and couldn't reach anymore because he was so eager to kill them. So he's just kind of lingering out there now, waiting to be multi-melted. And down here, this was the main event though, the Warp Talons successfully charged into Sammael's command squad, and they tore them to shreds. Well, they killed 2 of them, put a wound on Sammael, and they took a couple of casualties in return. So it looks like they're winning that fight. So it's not looking too good for the Ravenwing at the moment. Although their flyer's still alive, we don't know what that's going to do next turn. It's going to be limited for manoeuvrability with the way it's facing. Their other squad's looking very thin on the ground. So can they make it to this generator, which incidentally put Shroud onto the Warp Talons with its mystical chaos boon for this turn. Dark Angel's turn 3. And as you can see, there is now a flyer perched precariously on top of this wonderful building here. And even though it unleashed its firepower on the Defiler, it didn't do anything. But the Black Knights, who used their skill and cunning to break away from combat and just drive round the back of the Defiler, while it just became confused and allowed them to do so, it then took the brunt of all those plasma talons into its rear and was glanced to death and exploded. Oh dear, oh dear. So it's now dead. Over here, you'll see that that bike broke away from combat with the Spawn squad, and it's making its way over towards those Black Knights, maybe to help out over there. Then, in the main event, which was of course down here, Sammael and Pals killed a few more Warp Talons, but in revenge, they wiped out the remnants of the regular Ravenwing squad that joined in, and they also put another wound on Sammael. We've got Mr. Lucius the Eternal just chilling in the open. He didn't take any damage from the various pieces of firepower that were aimed at him. Chaos turn 3, and Lucius the Eternal has parked himself on the generator / Demonic Toymaster 5000. Over here, the Predator took aim with its twin-link las cannon at the Fire Raptor swooping around above, but could only put 1 hull point on it and shake the crew so they can only snapfire next turn, which might be nice. Then, over here, the 2 Spawn caught up with that final bike sergeant and ripped his head off without much trouble. And then as we swing down here to yet again the main event, the Warp Talons managed to kill the Apothecary, so no more feel no pain over here, and they lost 1 as a result of Sammael's weaponry. So, total bloodbath, only a few models left in there. The Black Knights are the most substantial squad left, and of course there are vehicles on both sides that haven't taken too much punishment yet. So, heading into turn 4. Dark Angel's turn 4, and the Fire Raptor hovered over in this general direction, fired down at Lucius the Eternal, and that combined with the various plasma weaponry in effect from the Black Knights got him down to a single wound, and they then charged him, and as you can see, they've lost quite a few of their number. He killed 1 with his Overwatch Doom weapon, which was nice, and then in combat he killed 1, and then he killed another 1 as a result of passing an armor save, which is a nice rule. It puts a nice hit on the enemies when you pass armor saves, and he passed 3, even though he's down to his last wound. So he's just clinging on in there. As we move down here, In this combat, it's down to the bare bones now. The Warp Talons killed off the attack bike, and then Sammael cut down 2 of them. So it's just 1 versus 1 now. He's on his last wound. So very, very close. And there's not very many models left at all, heading into the Chaos turn. Shortest Chaos turn 4 ever. The Spawn moved in this direction and attempted an 11-inch charge on the Black Knights. However, they didn't make it, surprisingly enough. Then, down here, the Predator moved into sight of the Fire Raptor and unloaded a twin-link lascannon shot, and actually did get a penetrating hit that didn't have much effect, but it did take away a hull point, so it's down to its last one, I think, now. And down here, you can see that Sammael is the sole survivor of this brawl. He killed the final Warp Talent and then didn't take any wounds in retaliation, so he's just sailing around with 1 wound left. Speaking of 1 wound left, Mr. Lucius is still on 1 wound. He didn't kill any of the Black Knights with his attacks, but when they struck him, they put 1 wound on him, and he made his save, and then the attack that comes as a result of him making his save killed 1 of them. So there's only 1 left. His armour has killed more of them than he has in close combat so far. So, going into Dark Angels turn 5, and we're getting very close to the end now, and unless they can clear the chaos away from this evil toy creation device, then they're not going to be successful in their mission here. Ravenwing turn 5, and the Fire Raptor decided to speed up again, sped off over to the far end of the battlefield, and then fired into the side armour of the Predator, but couldn't actually do anything, unfortunately. Then, in the centre, you can see that Mr. Lucius has departed. That's because Sammael sped in there, made his save successfully from Lucius's attack, and then when he put a wound onto the Slaanesh Fiend, he put 2 on him actually. 1 of them was failed, 1 of them was saved, which meant there was a kind of a retaliation death throw attack on Sammael, which he made on his invulnerable 4+ save, which would have meant he died had he failed it. So he's killed him. They currently have control of the device, so the Chaos have precisely 1 turn to wrestle control of that device back, or it's going to be game over for them, and the Ravenwing will reign supreme and close down this sweatshop of horrors on Lava 12, the most creatively named planet in Imperial space.
12 planets in the solar system covered in lava.
Another candidate for shortest turn ever was the Chaos Slaanesh turn 5. The Predator moved to peek through that tiny window in there, which you can barely see, fired all the way through into Sammael, put a wound on him, but he made his save, so he's still clinging to life with 1 wound. Then Mr. Spawn successfully charged the final Black Knight that was there and ripped its head clean off. So that is currently contesting the evil machine area. In turn 6, Sammael is going to have to butcher that guy, and then most likely survive another lascannon shot from the Predator unless the Fire Raptor can gun that down first. So it's still very much hanging in the balance, only 4 models left on the table. So we'll see what the Dark Angels can do. Ravenwing turn 6 and the Fire Raptor swept across the battlefield, unloading all of its payload straight into the rear of the Predator, and as you can see, the turret has been blown off, the whole thing has been wrecked. So all that matters now is, did Sammael successfully kill the Chaos Spawn? We're about to find out. And look at that, it's been slain. He did 1 wound on it with his Storm Bolter before he even got into combat, and then in combat he did just enough to take it out before it would have had a chance to slay him. So that is game over. Sammael has basically single-handedly secured this crucial objective and prevented the children of the Imperium from being subjected to torment at the hands of these unscrupulous toy manufacturers. So, that was incredibly close. 2 models survived the game. Sammael survived with 1 wound, the Fire Raptor survived with 1 hull point. So there are only effectively 2 wounds left on the battlefield at the end of the game. That was quite the bloodbath, but I think all the Imperial children are going to feel just a little bit safer knowing that Sammael got the job done.